Hi, this is Pastor John. It's Saturday, May 30th, 2020. This is the next in our series, American Dystopia. I think it would be remiss for me not to mention some of the events going on in our country this week. You perhaps are aware of the situation that happened up in Minneapolis. And I want to say off the top, although I am not there, I'm not intimately involved with the details. From what I've seen on video, what I've heard in discussions, it sounds to me as if that police officer had no excuse in the behavior exhibited, and it is probably good that he is being charged, even perhaps with murder in this particular case. I also think that we should not quickly hold to task those who would say, hey, this may be a pattern in other places. We don't know what others' experiences has been sometimes in these issues. And we know, even though we can't say that everyone is racist because of this one event that happened, we know that racism exists in our country. We also know that there are those who have been treated unfairly or unjustly, and their families may historically have been treated this way. Sometimes because of their color of their skin, sometimes because of their religion, sometimes because of other things. And yet, here, in this particular case, the follow up has been this: riots in cities throughout our land: Atlanta, Columbus, Ohio, Washington, D.C., Minneapolis itself, other places, Louisville, all of them have had these riots as a result. Now, on the one hand, we want to say that any kind of racism is wrong. Any kind of acts which destroy the rights even of criminals as they're being arrested. This police officer to lean on somebody's neck is not even proper procedure, let alone something that should be taking place. At the same time, any behavior that is wrong is still wrong, even if it's in response to another wrong that's been done. In other words, two wrongs don't make a right. Is it okay to protest injustice? Absolutely. Is it okay to riot because of injustice? No. Stealing is never right. Lying is never right. Violence against the low or the unprotected is never right. Listen to these words that Paul writes to the Thessalonians. Now, part of the context here was in the church and leaders in the church. He says, "We ask you, brothers, to respect those who labor among you and are over you in the Lord and admonish you, and to esteem them very highly in love because of their work." But then listen to what else he says. "Be at peace among yourselves. And we urge you, brothers, admonish the idle, encourage the faint-hearted, help the weak, be patient with them all. See that no one repays anyone evil for evil, but always seek to do good to one another and to everyone." Now, on the one hand, this is particularly relating to relationships in the church. Be at peace with people in the church. And do good to everyone, especially those to each other in the church. But notice the words that he also uses: to everyone. We're to do good to everyone, no matter their background, no matter their religion, no matter their race, no matter their creed, whatever their background. We're to do good to them. At the same time, he says, admonish the idle. Now, one of the problems right now is some of the idle, not all of them, but some of those who are unable to work because of government interference. That is, they've been told to close their jobs, or their employment, the place where they're employed, is closed down or shut down. And in some places, there are still types of occupations and jobs which haven't been opened back up yet. On the one hand, yes, we should expect some of these things. This is the idea of dystopia. A dystopian world is a world where things have changed and they look chaotic and a little unorganized because of a major event that has happened. This is what's going on. This pandemic has been a major event in the government's response to it. By closing down our businesses and our society and our economy, we've created this event where people are in kind of a dystopian situation. Notice this. These individuals, some of them, not all of them, but some of them who might have had the opportunity to go out and riot, they're in the midst of a time of record unemployment, record child abuse, record suicide, record incidents of depression, record incidents of teen delinquency. And then we wonder when something like this, which inflames or throws fuel on an underlying surface level tension, builds up, these individuals with time, with discouragement and pent up anger, and they go out there and destroy. That's human nature, unfortunately. That's why God has to continually tell us what to do. Do good to each other. Because we're sinners. There may be even some Christians out there doing those things, like hypocrites, as we all are. And yet, by God's grace, he writes these words to a fallen church. Here we go. Admonish one another to do work, not to be idle. Encourage the faint-hearted, that is, those who are distressed and discouraged. Help the weak. The weak is not just those who are perhaps more vulnerable to get sick. The weak are also those who are weak in faith, who are weak to the point where they want to be involved and get revenge and other things. And he says also, seek to do good to everyone. Don't take this as an opportunity to tear down somebody else or a class of people or people that are different from you or other things. Take this as an opportunity to do what is right and good regardless of the circumstances. Let's pray for those who have been affected not only by the virus, not only by the government's response to the virus, but now being affected by these riots all over. I want you to particularly pray for one church in our denomination this morning. City Life Church in Minneapolis. This is a church in downtown Minneapolis. I had a friend who was a pastor there for many years. And now they're not only recovering from the pandemic, they're not only suffering with the consequences of this police incident and the follow-up protests and riots, but they're also looking for a new pastor. Would you pray for them? Do what is good in this situation. Pray that God would be at work in Minneapolis and in the cities of our country and in our own hearts, that we might seek to do good to everyone.